All right, so this is the first video in drawing a human portrait. I guess what I want to begin with is an idea that's fairly simple. I think most people or most beginners, when they come to drawing the human head, they kind of overwhelm themselves. They make it too complicated, and they get too worried about what the model looks like and how am I going to draw that nose or make that eye look right, or I can't draw ears or whatever, and the whole thing, just gets much too complicated in their heads too quickly. You don't have to worry about that at the beginning. You can start much more simply, and you shouldn't really be worried about what the model looks like at the start. What you should worry about is what's the model doing. So there's this idea of gesture. Is the head straight up and down? Is it tilted? Is it tilted back? Is it tilted forward? Is it tilted to the side? What's the head doing first before I get caught up with what it looks like? Because there's an expression to that, right? Like, it's important to get a head tilt. So if you think about like the cast of someone's mouth, how they're holding their mouth, or what their eyes are doing, are they squinting, or are they looking off to the left or the right? Those are expressive ideas. Well, the tilt of the head is an expressive idea too, and so we don't want to ignore that and just draw the head straight up and down all the time and front on, right? We want to sort of get something particular about the gesture of the head. All right. So the easiest way to do that is to begin very simply, and we're going to start with just a simple oval idea. And you'll see this in most drawing books. Okay, so we're just going to reduce the head. Another construction line idea, reduce the head to a simple oval shape. Now when you do it, when we think about the head from the front, the head fits into a rectangle that's about 2 by 3. About a 2 by 3 rectangle, which this isn't too far away from a 2 by 3 rectangle. So you want to get kind of that kind of width and height to it. So if you start off with your oval shape and you do something like this, that's not going to help you much because it's too far away from the proportions of a head. Or if you do something like this and you make it wider than it is high, that's not going to help you either. So you don't have to make a perfect oval, but you just want to get something that's just somewhere in the ballpark of human proportions of 2 by 3, 2 width, 3 height. All right, so that's the beginning place, is just drawing an oval. All right. The next thing is to make sure that when you draw the head doesn't, its gesture can't operate really without the neck and the shoulders. It's part of a unit. And so just drawing the head by drawing the oval and then getting into detail, eyes, nose, and all that stuff, it's just not the way to do it. So you want a simple head shape, a simple neck shape, and then a very simple shoulder shape at the start. All right, so head, neck, shoulders, something to indicate that the head is attached to something that's joining with the rest of the body. It's just a good habit to get into and not draw the face in isolation or the head in isolation of everything else. All right, so then once we've done that, then what we want to do is we want to take stock of the midpoint of the head, which is a line that comes straight down and divides the features in half. All right, that's going to help us tell whether we're seeing the head straight on or if it's turned relative to us. Okay, so we're going to put in another construction line, a vertical, which that's the line that suggests that division of the features. And then we're going to put in a horizontal that's going to be a symbol for the line of the eye. So the eyes sit about halfway between the chin and the top of the skull. So we're going to divide this horizontally in half, and that's going to give me the idea of vertical dividing line, horizontal dividing line for the face and the features. Okay. With this oval, if you want to get a little bit more specific about the oval, that's helpful, is you can make it slightly wider at the top and then a little bit slimmer towards the bottom, like an egg shape, like if you want to go there. But for what we're doing right now, this is really just about gestures, just about positioning, and then we're going to build on top of it. So things don't have to be, perfect in terms of that oval shape right now. So what I've just done is I've drawn a person who is looking straight at me, right? No tilt. All right, so in terms of the tilts, what you want to do is try to articulate to yourself before you start drawing, before you draw anything, what is the head doing? There's three kinds of tilts that happen, all right? So the first tilt is a side-to-side tilt. So the head is either looking straight at me or it's turned relative to me. So turn to the left or turn to the right. Okay, so that's gesture number one. All right, and I can show that here. I've got it looking straight at me. If I wanted to show that the head was turned to the right, then I would take this line and I would move it off to the left. So I've got more space here, less here. That means that the head is looking away from me, right? The more it turns away from me, the more the center line is going to move towards the edge, right? And I've got it curving here because I'm imagining that line sitting on an ovoid shape, right? If it's right in front of me, that's just going to be a straight line. Even if I'm drawing it on an egg, that line is going to be a straight line if I'm looking straight at it. But as soon as I turn the egg, then that line is going to curve. And the more I turn it, the more that line is going to curve, right? So this is gesture one, the turn of the head. The second gesture is the tilt from side to side. So like this. So the head can turn and then it can tilt from side to side, all right? So I can show that. When I do that, then I have to do something a little bit different at the beginning. This is why it's important to kind of conceptualize before you begin drawing what the head is doing. Because here, I can't find this after I put down the oval. I've got to look at the person and say, okay, their head is tilted over. That means the oval has to tilt. So I've got to begin with the tilted oval. And let's say the head is looking off in this direction. So this is a head that's turned away from me this way, but it's also tilted over, okay? And then the last gesture that we want to get is an up or down, right? So there's just three. So you just have to kind of tick through, say, okay, is there any turn, tilt, side to side, and then is there a tilt front to back? Okay. So here's a head that's tilted forward, neck, shoulders, looking straight at me, and the head is tilted down, right? So when I tilt down, this whole section, from my eyes downward, that becomes foreshortened, so that becomes a smaller distance than from my eyes to the top, right? So the head is tilted up, neck, shoulders, right? So that's someone looking up. Okay, so it's a very quick way to just establish the gesture before you worry about the particulars of that person's physiognomy or the shape of the head or anything else. It's important to get just this simple gestural idea down that gives you a very basic idea of the underlying gesture to the head.